Can you tell us when Nancy Weir comes into the picture?
Well, I first ran into Nancy when she was one of the examiners for my associate diploma at the AMB, which I guess I was 17, 18, I can't remember. I hadn't gone to the con. I did a couple of years of architecture at the University of Queensland when I finished at the con, at school. Um, and she and Basil Jones, who was then the director of the conservatorium, were my examiners, and she never let me forget how badly I played my scales until the end of her life. She used to make jokes about it. Um, but that was the first time I met her, and I met her once or twice then after that when I was at the con for various things. I wasn't studying at the con yet. And then she played at the end of the year. They used to do Beethoven series occasionally. The QSO would do it, and there'd be an overture, a concerto, and a symphony, and local people would play the concertos. And she played the Beethoven C minor in one of those years with the orchestra, and I was hugely impressed. It was world class playing. I still remember how she played the end of the slow movement. It was just gorgeous. And so when I went to the con, got to go to the con, then I think in 1968 I started, I chose to go to her to have lessons because she was an amazing player. She'd been a professional pianist, and that's what I wanted to be, and she could also play at a level that I aspired to do.
And how would you describe her teaching style? Because I've heard from some of my friends that she didn't even let you touch the keys for the first couple of lessons.
Oh yes, she did.
Yes,
I didn't. I wasn't that restricted, but I remember having 4 lessons on the Chopin G minor ballad, and I never got past the end of bar 4.
You're right.
But what she did was the most important thing, because I mean, she never taught me the whole of the G minor ballad, but she taught you how to teach yourself, how to listen. And sometimes, yes, you'd go to start. When I remembered with the G minor ballad, you'd go to start. No, that's going to make the wrong sounds. Too high, too low, wrong shaped finger, whatever. Yeah, she was quite amazing, and the greatest thing about her was that she didn't regard herself as a teacher. She always said that she had no ability as a teacher at all, but she never taught us to play the way she played. There were 4 people studying with her when I was there who were all a cut above the average, and we all played completely differently, and none of us play like her. And that's very rare, because even the greatest pianists, when they have pupils, they usually want to teach them their interpretation of the Appassionata or the Tchaikovsky concerto or whatever, Whereas Nancy could see what each of us had individually and chose works to develop those aspects of our playing and to develop us as 4 individual pianists who, as I said, none of us really play like she did. Yeah.
And do you feel that that's a good teaching method? Or?
Oh God, yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, far too rare to find. Yeah.
And if you look at your time with Nancy in its entirety, what's the most important thing that she taught you, if you had to say?
Couple of things. One was that she had learnt from Schnabel was that you can never be too serious about being serious when you're playing music by people like Beethoven, that your greatest efforts are never going to be enough. The other thing was never to be too serious about being serious. They might sound contradictory, but they're not, because you go mad if you went one way and not the other as well. The other thing that Nancy gave me a very strong sense of where I was in the musical hierarchy, because she was a phenomenal talent, absolutely world class, and could humiliate you without intending to at all. And I remember after I'd finished my studies at the con, but I hadn't gone overseas, and I was doing some broadcasts for the ABC of Shostakovich preludes and fugues. And she didn't know them at all, but I asked if I could go and play them to her before I did the broadcast. And one of them was the big D-flat major, which is a 5-voice fugue with varying chime signatures, and I couldn't memorize it at all, but because it was a broadcast, I didn't worry too much. But she, wandering around the studio with a sandwich in her hand, sort of singing out more left hand, more this, more that, while I was playing them. And then she came and sat down at the other piano and played 3 pages of the piece without ever having seen the music, and didn't miss a note in this 5-part counterpoint.
Wow.
And
Impressive.
well, I just wasn't in that class. But it's very important, if you're going to be a professional musician, that you know where you sit on the ladder, and you know the really, really great ones, and then there's plenty of room on the lower rungs for the rest of us who are good enough to earn a living, but not to sort of fret about not getting the chances to do the big gigs all the time.